Well, good morning everyone and welcome to our General Council meeting on this Wednesday, the 27th of November. So welcome everyone. We'll just start our proceedings. Item number 1 is recording who's present. You're right, Marnie, with that? Thank you very much. And we've got apologies and leaves of absence, if anybody has any. We can move on to our acknowledgement of country. So I wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we work and live and recognise their continuing connection to land, water and community. We pay our respect to elders past and present. Now we're going to move on to agenda item 4, which is our opening prayer. And this morning we have with us Harley Southwell from the Seven-Day Adventist Church. So welcome Harley, who will be leading our prayer today. And joining him, just to say welcome as well, Greg Rankin from the Emerald Uniting Church. So we're very blessed to have two of our pastors and ministers here today. So over to you, Harley. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I'll just read a couple excerpts from a really nice book on prayer by one of my favorite authors, and then I will open with prayer. So this is actually about what prayer is, and it says, "It is our privilege to open our hearts and to let the sunshine of Christ's presence in. My brother, my sister, face the light. Come into actual personal contact with Christ that you may exert an influence that is uplifting and reviving. Let your faith be strong and pure and steadfast. Let gratitude to God fill your hearts. When you rise in the morning, kneel at your bedside and ask God to give you strength to fulfill the duties of the day and meet its temptations. Ask Him to help you to bring into your work Christ's sweetness of character. Ask Him to help you to speak words that will inspire those around you with hope and courage and draw you nearer to the Savior." And then I love this statement here. "Prayer is the opening of the heart to God as to a friend. Not that it is necessary in order to make known to God what we are, but in order to enable us to receive Him. Prayer does not bring God down to us, but brings us up to Him. Let the soul be drawn out and upward, that God may grant us a breath of the heavenly atmosphere. We may keep so near to God that in every unexpected trial our thoughts will turn to Him as naturally as the sunflower turns to the sun. Keep your wants, your joys, your sorrows, your cares, and your fears before God. You cannot burden Him. You cannot weary Him. He who numbers the hairs of your head is not indifferent to the wants of His children. The Lord is full of pity and of tender mercy." James 5:11. "His heart of love is touched by our sorrows and even by our utterances of them. Take to Him everything that perplexes the mind. Nothing is too great for Him to bear, for He holds up worlds. He rules over all the affairs of the universe." And so I'm just going to offer a prayer that as He who rules over all the affairs of the universe will also be here to lead out in this meeting today. Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank You so much for Your great love for us. And Lord, I just want to pray that You will be with this council meeting here this morning as they discuss the issues, the matters arising, which are affecting our region here in the Central Highlands. Lord, I pray that You'll grant each wisdom and humility, and also that You will grant to each a understanding of the different complex issues and that You will provide clear answers for the way forward for our region. That You will bless this meeting here with Your love, that there won't just be a place of colleagues meeting in a professional sense, but that there will be also bonds of friendship and camaraderie as this group of men and women here work towards the betterment of our region. So Lord, I just pray that Your Holy Spirit will be in this place to bless, guide, and to lead. And we pray for all of our region, for all those in our region who may be struggling in difficult circumstances, that you may comfort them and provide aid and help to them, and that you will be with all of the plans that are going ahead, that you will just really profit them into a way that will lead to a bountiful blessings for our region. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harley. Thank you, Greg. Thank you very much for your blessings this morning and reminding us to open our hearts and bring in the light and love. So we thank you very much, and we certainly take on your words of hope and inspiration. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. So moving on to item number 5, which is confirmations of minutes from the previous meetings. I think there we've got there too. Item, we do them separately. Yeah. So item number 5.1, which is the minutes from the general meeting on the 30th of October. If I could have a mover. Yep.
Just a typo, just with Councillor Donaldson's declaration.
Once we get into
sorry.
speaking about the business, yes, I did see his gender change. Thank you, Councillor Cypher moved. And a seconder, Councillor Wilkins. All in favour? Thank you. So do we address them individually or just adopt them separately? Yeah, okay, cool. And the minutes from the special general meeting on the 13th of November, if I could have a mover. Councillor Cruz, and seconder, Councillor Burns. All in favour? Thank you. So moving to business arising out of the minutes. So the general council meeting on the 30th of October.
Sorry, just that typo with Councillor Donaldson's declaration from she to he.
So what page number was
Sorry,
that again?
that was page 8. Right.
Page 8.
First sentence, yeah.
So, yes, I did spot that one as well. And business arising from our special general meeting as well on the 13th of November. So we have that. So that was just the one item there with a typo. So moving on to our review of outstanding meeting actions. If anybody has anything else to add to the list. Councillor Cruz.
Through the chair, previously we had asked for a bit of a strategic briefing or workshop with regards to the Buckland airstrip, and I just can't see it on the list. So that was just in regards to not just the RFDS but fire services as well.
Through the chair. Good morning, councillors. Yes, that report is being prepared, or the information is being gathered. I haven't been able to lock in a time frame yet, but it is anticipated it'll be coming to council early in the new year.
Thank you. There's no other items. Councillor Cypher.
Are we doing this upcoming strategic briefing workshops? Is that what we're doing?
Oh no, council
Okay.
meeting.
Okay.
Council meetings.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so very good. So we've got, that's the review of the outstanding meeting actions. Agenda number 7, and then item number 8 is deputations.
Through the chair.
Yep, sorry,
Sorry, you,
I've skipped something.
well, I want to talk about the upcoming strategic briefing workshops.
Yep, okay. We'll do that now.
Okay, well, yeah. Okay. I have repeatedly asked for a workshop, a facilitated workshop on moving forward with economic development / growth. It was indicated earlier in the year when we were talking about the stimulus package. We talked about it at that workshop, and it was suggested a facilitated workshop to move forward with economic growth and development that would include CHD staff and the CEO. I do not see where there anywhere, even through to July, that has been scheduled, or any movement on the scene of that topic that we all talked about.
Councillor, I don't specifically recall, but I'll certainly schedule it. No problem with that.
Thank you, because every meeting, at least every second meeting, I do raise the topic. Thank you.
Yeah, and just on the topic too of the strategic briefings and forums, I know that we've been talking about looking at the gravel pits. I'd just like to include gravel pits and water points as well. I think the two go in hand if we're talking about what we need for road building. So I'd just like to have the water added as well to that, if that's possible. Thank you. Very good. Any other items to add? We're all good? Okay, moving on to item number 8, deputation. So there's nil today. Item number 9, Merrill Minute, there's nil today. And item number 10, if there's any conflicts of interest with any of the agenda items that anybody needs to declare today. And just a reminder, as we go through, it might become more aware, so at any time, please do make your declaration. Moving on to petitions. Mr. Acting CEO, are there any petitions to be tabled today? No, nil petitions. So moving on to decision action reports, number 12.1, which is for the Chief Financial Officer, which is the monthly financial report October 2024, and handing over to our Chief Financial Officer, Arun Diaz. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, councillors, through the Mayor. In accordance with Section 204 of the Local Government Regulations 2012, a local government must prepare and present a financial report at a meeting of the local government once a month. This report must state the progress that has been made in relation to the budget for the relevant period of the financial year. And in complying with this legislative requirement, this report presents the financial performance for Central Highlands Regional Council for the period ending 31st of October 2024, measured against the original budget, which was adopted in late June for 24-25. I will now hand over the presentation to our Manager of Finance, Helen Kirby, to present the report in detail. Thanks, Helen.
Thank you, CFO, and through the Chair, and good morning, councillors. I will take the tabled monthly finance report for October as read, but before taking any questions that you may have, I'll just outline some of the key takeaways from the report. So the October year-to-date operating surplus was 37.8 million, and this compared to a year-to-date budget of 24.6 million. This favourable result of 13.2 million at this stage of the financial year is the net effect of operating grant revenue exceeding budget and underspends in operating expenses. At a third of the way through the financial year, Council's capital budget for community infrastructure projects is just under 20% spent. When commitments representing purchase orders raised are included, this percentage increases to 53%. At the end of October, the cash balance was 121.2 million, and borrowings held with the Queensland Treasury Corporation stood at 58.5 million. On the 25th of October, 3 QTC loans were fully repaid with identified surplus cash. The combined book value of the loans at the payout date was 9.7 million, which compared to a market value of 9.4 million. The difference of 271,000 gave rise to a favourable early repayment adjustment, which is disclosed as a credit adjustment to finance costs. Section 3 of the Finance Report provides an analysis of Council's financial sustainability measured within a set of conservative guideposts and shows the result for the current year and a 5-year average result. At this section also, an analysis of the potential future impact from the closure of the Oakey Creek coal mine on Council's operating result is provided. The inclusion of this analysis in the monthly finance report highlights the risks to Council's revenue due to the concentration of mining in the region. Section 8 of the report shows that combined arrears from rates and water charges were 11.4 million at the end of October. During October, rates and charges arrears increased by 4 million, following the due date of the first half levy in mid-October. Debt recovery action currently in process is the issuing of reminder notices to property owners with amounts unpaid from the first half levy, and also statement of claims are being arranged to be issued to property owners that have arrears relating also to last financial year's levies. On the 8th of October, pre-sale warning letters were issued to property owners in relation to 88 properties with arrears of more than 3 years. Property owners were given until the 9th of December to respond, and this is only a preliminary action prior to potentially commencing a future auction process for the sale of the properties, which Council has the power to do under Section 140 of the Local Government Regulation. An update on the outcome of this process will be provided to Council at the January General Council meeting. The recommendation is that Council adopts the monthly finance report for the period ended the 31st of October 2024. Thank you, and I'm happy to take questions on the tabled report.
Thank you very much. If there's any comments or questions, councillors? Councillor Donaldson.
I've got a few questions. The airport, the $228,685 expenditure, I was just wondering what was that for? It was something that was budgeted for and brought forward? Is that?
Sorry, Councillor Donaldson, could you just repeat that question again?
It's a statement of operating income and expenditure for the airdrome. The 228,685 that had some expenditure there, and it says it's due to time of the contract expenditure. Yeah. So that's just brought forward. It was already.
So just through the chair. So that's right. Our year-to-date budget forecast, I guess, was less than what the actual ended up being. So just down to timing, really. So most often we see where actuals are behind budget due to timing, but in this case, the actuals exceed budget at this stage. Yeah.
Just a comment, that the passenger and the car park revenue, it's still rising compared to last year, which is a good thing. I've got questions about the sale yards. I was wondering, $144,877, was that only for the hay, or was there other expenses included in that? Because I noticed,
I will have to take that question on notice, but the comment does say due to mainly to the hay purchases, but I can find out exactly what
That'd be
makes
good.
up that variance.
And just as a comment, compared to last year, we've had 11,000 more cattle go through the sale yards. There's been 890, this is all approximately, I'll just round the figures up, 890 bales, extra bales been sold of hay. 18,900 cattle have been, I didn't write that down properly. Gone through, I think that's a extra spelling, and 8,750 have actually been dipped extra this year. That's a huge increase. And I don't know whether that's because the may have been contributed because of dry conditions out west and out up north, and also in our area. So people maybe are getting rid of their cattle, sending to feedlots and things like that, other than sending their cattle directly to the works. It'd be interesting to see what happens if we get a good rain season and whether it comes right back or whether it continues. That'll be interesting factor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Donaldson. Any other questions or comments? Thank you very
Yes,
much.
sorry.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Wilkins.
Sorry, I'm just really glad that those 3 debts were paid off. I think it's good financial management. I mean, I'm not a fan of debt, and it's just, it's really good to see that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, that's on page 73, where it says, during October, Council fully repaid 3 loans with a combined market value of 9.409 million. So thank you very much for that, and that there's no plans to undertake new borrowings at this stage. So thank you very much. Thank you also for the a snapshot on page 87 as well. I like to have a copy of that so I can carry it with me and make sure be able to share that information as well. So thank you for a comprehensive monthly financial report. So I would like to ask for a mover, please. Councillor Cruz, seconder, Councillor Donaldson, all in favour? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Thank you for staying in your seats. We're ready to hand over to you again. So item number 12.1.2 is I've got that right. Application of competition policy amendment. So over to you again, Chief Financial Officer Arun Diaz. Thank you.
Thank you. Through the Chair. Councillors, the purpose of this report is to amend the Central Highlands Regional Council's application of competition policy, which was adopted as part of the special budget meeting held on the 26th of June 2024. I will now hand over the meeting to the presentation to Helen Kirby, our Manager of Finance, to take you through in detail. Thanks, Helen.
Thank you, CFO, through the Chair. So as the CFO said, the purpose of the table report is to amend Council's application of competition policy, and this is due to a change in the community service obligation amounts that are quantified at section 5.3 of the policy document. The purpose of the policy is to ensure that the national competition policy reform initiatives and principles are incorporated within the identified business activities of Council as required under the Local Government Act 2009. Community service obligations, or CSOs as they are referred to, are defined in the local government regulation as obligations that Council imposes on a business entity to do something that may not be in the commercial interests of that business activity. The CSO is like a subsidy paid from the general fund of Council to the applicable business activity as revenue. The current policy adopted at the special budget meeting on the 26th of June this year endorsed a CSO that CSOs be paid to the airport business activity and also the Saleyards business activity this financial year. The airport CSO is to provide revenue for the provision of airstrip facilities in Springshaw, Ralston, Capella, Dingo and Jaringa. The Saleyards business activity, the CSO for the Saleyards business activity is to provide revenue for the provision of Saleyard facilities in Emerald. Council has recently completed the first review of the original budget, and the outcome of this review will be tabled today for a decision at item 12.1.3 of the agenda. As part of the review of the original budget, the operating revenue and expenses of Council's business activities were reviewed, resulting in a reduction in the revenue subsidy required from the general fund of Council to the airport and Saleyards business. So the recommendation is that Council adopts the amended application of competition policy, which has been provided at attachment 1 of the tabled report, reflecting the revised community service obligation amounts. Thank you, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you very much. Over to councillors for questions or comments. Councillor Cruz.
Through the chair, so it's good to reflect that there isn't as big a significant need to sort of subsidise both those business units, but probably further to Councillor Donaldson's comments previously, when both of those business units can be, there's outside influences that can affect revenue and so forth. So the assumption would be made that if there is a requirement, like if potentially that revenue were to go down and not be reflective of across in, say, BR2, that we would be doing a similar process potentially down the track, but only in the reverse. Is that an accurate?
Just through the chair, that's correct, councillor. So it will be something that we review at budget review too. Of course, we'd have to look at how material the reduction in revenue is and what revenue is required in relation to the operating expenditure. But definitely, will be reviewed as part of the next budget amendment.
Yep, and then further, and just for clarification, so then these new new figures here that we are to adopt, they're sort of also reflected in attachment sort of 7. Those for the budgets going out to 2026 to 27, sort of they're sort of reflective of what we've got now. So I guess any amendments would be reflected again later on down the track if needed.
That's correct. So just through the chair, so in the next agenda item with the budget amendment report, you'll notice as part of the attachments we've provided operating statements for the business activities, and you'll be able to identify the actual CSO amount, the revised CSO amount that we're adopting. That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments, councillors? Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Hindmarsh, seconder. Councillor Newman, all in favour? Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you. Moving to agenda item 12.1.3, which is the 24-25 budget review 1. And handing over again to our Chief Financial Officer, Arun Diaz. Thank you.
Thank you. Through the chair. Councillors, in accordance with section 107(3) of the Local Government Regulations 2012, the Central Highlands Regional Council may amend the budget resolution at any time before the end of the financial year. This report summarises the outcome of the first budget review process for 24-25 and recommends the amendment of the original budget adopted. If adopted, future monthly finance reports presented to Council will be measured against Budget Review 1. I will now invite our Manager of Finance, Helen Kirby, to take us through the report in detail.
Thank you, CFO, and through the chair. So once again, I will take the tabled table report as read on the Budget Review 1 amendment. However, I'll just outline some of the key outcomes of this first review of the 24-25 budget, which we've termed BR1 throughout the report. So as a result of the BR1 process, the total expenditure budget, which incorporates operating expenses, capital expenditure and debt repayment, has reduced from 292 million to 285 million. So while there were no significant changes to the operating revenue forecast at BR1, savings were identified in operating expenses, which has resulted in the operating surplus adopted in the original budget increasing to 12.2 million from 2.3 million. This increase in the operating surplus has improved Council's operating surplus ratio from 1.1% to 6%. The savings in operating expenses relate mostly to employee benefits and materials and services costs. So the employee benefits budget was monitored closely during the first quarter of the financial year, which informed the budget review process. And the savings of 2.6 million identified represents budgeted positions where it is unlikely that Council for the end of the financial year. Consultant and contractor expenses make up the greatest portion of the materials and services budget, and a focused approach was taken by all business areas in reviewing these costs at Budget Review 1, with an emphasis on efficiency and productivity. The BR1 process identified areas where expenses could be reduced without impacting the quality of services, which has resulted in a savings of 5.8 million. Other operational savings were also identified in depreciation and finance costs. The capacity to deliver projects this financial year was a key consideration by asset managers when they reviewed their capital project budgets. The BR1 process has revised investment in capital infrastructure downwards by 6.5 million for this financial year. This net reduction relates mostly to Resource Community Infrastructure Fund projects valued at 8.8 million being reforecast into next financial year. The changes to the capital budget have reduced Council's asset sustainability ratio from 91.2% to 83.2%. However, this result is still within the recommended target of greater than 80% set by the Department of Local Government. The budget allocated for the repayment of principal on Queensland Treasury Corporation loans has been increased at BR1 by 9.4 million to reflect the early repayment of the 3 loans at the end of October. The long-term financial plan, which covers a 10-year period, has been provided at attachment 5 of the tabled report. So this plan has been updated to reflect the BR1 amendments to both the capital and operating budgets, and has also been updated to align the historical 23-24 actual results following the audit that we've just completed for the 30th of June 24. These updates to the plan at BR1 have changed some of the forward estimates reported in the original budget plan. However, it's important to note that the forward parameters and assumptions that underpin the long-term financial plan have not been updated as part of the BR1 process, as they are currently being reviewed in conjunction with the development of a financial sustainability strategy that will be adopted by Council later in the financial year. So the recommendation is that Council amends the 24-25 budget to incorporate the BR1 amendments that are included in the documents provided in attachments 1 to 9 of the tabled report. Thank you, and I'm happy to take questions.
Over to councillors, if you have any questions or comments. Councillor Newman.
Through the Chair, I would just like to congratulate all the departments for looking at their operating expenses and to creating that enormous surplus increase on our original budget. So thank you to everyone involved in that process.
Thank you, Councillor Newman. Councillor Cruz.
Through the Chair, just a couple of questions. Where it says the 2.555 savings in BR1 represented the budgeted positions that were unlikely for Council to be successful in recruiting before the end of the financial year. Just wanting to confirm, or I suppose reflect that whilst they might not no longer be reflected in the expenditure for positions unlikely to be filled, but there is no change to the organisational structure. It's just purely that, you know, we're not going to fill them, and so therefore they shouldn't be sort of part of the expenditure. Is that correct?
And
Yeah,
just to clarify, that's page 112?
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Cruz.
Thank you, Councillor Cruz. Yes, that's correct. We have a number of positions across the organisation that have been vacant for quite some time. And despite our best efforts to recruit to them, we have been unable to. So we're just trying to accurately reflect the likelihood of those being filled in the future. We will still endeavour to fill them, but we think, based on past history, it's probably unlikely at this stage. But we'll certainly continue to try.
Councillor Cruz.
Yeah, and just also just with regards to the operating surplus ratio. So if we're I guess we're tier 2 in the financial management sustainability guidelines, and then I think it's the QAO has the, you know, like we've got the upper and lower, so the 0% to target to the 10%. Is that correct? So that's the optimum?
Yeah. Well, so just through the chair, under the new financial sustainability guidelines, they've amended that target to just, it's only above 0% for our band, for the band that council is in.
So there's no upper bound anymore?
No.
Okay, righto. That was just one question. And then with regards, the council controlled revenue ratio, because it doesn't appear that there is any target, but looking at everything, it's sort of around that 80%. Is that what we're thinking is an optimum amount?
That's pretty high, to be honest, typically. From looking at other councils' financial situations, that's often around the sort of 60-odd%, and I think that probably reflects that we are being more dedicated at obtaining external funding through grants. And if we were to do that, that ratio would fall a bit. And so that's probably our target, as outlined by council and direction given by council, is, you know, put more effort into finding external grants.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Good. Thank you very much. I'd like to point out as well on page 112, also the reference there to the consultant contractor expenses make up the greatest portion of material and services budget, and a focused approach was taken by business areas in reviewing these costs at BR1 with an emphasis on efficiency and productivity. So just to point out that the BR1 process identified areas where expenses could be reduced without negatively impacting the quality of services, resulting in savings of $5.84 million. You would like to comment, CEO?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank the councillors for the direction that they've given to the organisation about a back-to-basics approach, and that's helped very much in finding these savings and setting up the organisation for not just a lower cost for this period of time, but a lower cost of operation on an ongoing basis. And you know, whilst there's been plaudits given to the organisation for the work that's been done, and they are very welcome and due, of course none of this could have happened without the direction of councillors. So thank you very much. Very much a team effort in finding these savings and ensuring that we keep costs under control moving forward.
Thank you. And again, like to concur with Councillor Newman. Excellent. Thank you all very much for all the hard work in each of the departments, as the acting CEO is referring to. So thank you very much for an excellent outcome, and guaranteeing that, you know, the staffing levels are still there, the services aren't changed, and we've been able to pay that extra bit of debt as well. And I know that there's had to be some adjustments with the capital project, which we knew was going to potentially happen as well. So thank you all for your flexibility and we appreciate you following our guidance as well. So thank you very much. So the resolution there is that the Central Highlands Regional Council, in accordance with sections 169 and 170 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, amends the 2024-25 budget to incorporate the Budget Review 1 or BR1 amendments as in the following documents that are listed on the screen there. A to I, and secondly, that the Central Highlands Regional Council receives the following documents to support the amended 2024-25 budget, as listed as item A, and thirdly, that Central Highlands Regional Council notes that rates and charges can only be reduced at the annual budget meeting for the relevant financial year, which occurred on the 26th of June 2024. Accordingly, Council's adopted revenue statement and revenue policy will need to be amended as part of the adoption of Budget Review 1. We have them.
Through the chair, can I just will not need to be amended?
Oh, sorry, will not need to be amended, sorry. Thank you. Mover, Councillor Burns, seconder, Councillor Whiteman, all in favour? Motion carried, thank you. Thank you for keeping an eye on me. Very good. Moving to the community section, so 12.2. So moving to item 12.2.1, Regional Arts Development Fund, RDAF, 2024-25, Round 1 Assessment Meeting, 8th of November 2024, handing over to General Manager Communities, Adrian Burns. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If I may, could I just introduce Vashti Bardsley to Council? This is her first time at Council. She's our new Arts and Cultural Officer in the galleries for the communities team. She'll be here today to answer any technical questions that I may not be able to answer about the RDAF funding for round 1. If it is okay with councillors, as the Mayor has pointed out, this is round 1 of 3 rounds that we will be running applications for in terms of RADF. And we have a recommendation that the Central Highlands Music Festival, the Central Highlands Social Events, which is Youth Creativity Unleashed, and Springshore State School received grants this year. We'll take the rest of the report as read, if we may, and are happy to answer questions and engage in any specifics that may be relevant.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments, councillors? Thank you, Councillor Wilkins.
So just a comment. So these items aren't, they're not just given grants because they've applied. So there is a little bit of a, do they fit certain categories? Are they, beneficial to the community? And how widespread is that benefit and things like that. So, so said they're not just chosen lightly. So I think it's a great thing to be able to provide all this funding. The Springshore State School, it might seem that it's only for the school, so it's not really necessarily beneficial to anyone outside of the school. However, they do perform at different functions, and most recently that I'm aware of, at the seniors luncheon in October. So I think this is a great opportunity for the community to apply for such grants.
Thank you. Councillor Cruz.
Through the chair, just looking at the meeting notes, and number 6, the unsubmitted applications. There was 2 unsubmitted applications, and really appreciate that council is going back to those and offering assistance, so that potentially they may wish to fully submit in the future. I think that's really good to offer them assistance so that they might be of benefit of the fund in the future. Thank you.
Excellent. Yep, thank you. Councillor Newman.
Just the question about the CH social events. So the funding is for non-for-profits, is that correct?
Yes, I do believe so. They are engaging an artist too and doing a series of workshops and engagement activities with the youth in the area.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to confirm that.
Thank you. Very good. Well, thank you all. If there's no further comments, I'll put the recommenation then is that the Central Highlands Regional Council receives the minutes of the Regional Arts Development Fund Assessment Meeting on the 8th of November 2024, and 2, approves the $35,850 for the following Regional Arts Development Fund Round 1 applications for the 2024-25 financial year, as per the Central Highlands Regional Council Arts and Cultural Advisory Committee's recommendations. And those projects are listed up on the screen, which are to the Central Highlands Music Festival of Bands, a CH Social Events Youth Creativity Unleashed Mural Project at CH Social Club, and Springsure State School P&C Association Instrumental Music Expansion. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Wilkins, seconder Councillor Donaldson. All in favour? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we're just moving to our next agenda item, which is 12.2.2, Amendment to Economic Stimulus Policy. And again, we hand over to General Manager Communities, Adrian Burns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors have discussed this matter a number of times. However, I have brought Helen McLaren-Grice to the table today to just go over the key salient points of this report.
Through the chair, good morning everyone. On the 26th of June, Council did resolve to undertake this full review of the stimulus policy, which we have now undertaken. Of the review, I'll just go over some of the key changes, which are mostly located within the Stream 4, Development Application Fees and Infrastructure Charges, and include the introduction of a Stream 5, Development Application Fees and Infrastructure Charges for long-term residential accommodation. Within Stream 4, the main changes there is that we have split Table 1 into 2 tables to introduce a scaled and capped incentive amounts. We have also removed the secondary requirements that was previously Part 2 of the table that were required applicants to demonstrate additional environmental benefits or financial viability through a business project plan. We have clarified some conditions under which a development may be considered ineligible and transferred the eligibility for higher incentives for residential care facilities and retirement facilities from Stream 4 to the new Stream 5. There was also a removal of the option to request an alternative payment schedule for infrastructure charges or a pre-approval notice. However, applicants may still seek free pre-lodgement advice regarding their eligibility for an incentive. In terms of the new Stream 5, the intent of this stream is to support development that will increase the variety and amount of long-term accommodation in the region. New housing development is necessary to support industry growth and workforce attraction and offer a broader choice for residents. This stream includes the following land uses, being dual occupancy, multiple dwelling, community residence, residential care facility and retirement facility. It's noted that dwelling house is not included, but it should also be noted that dwelling houses will typically never incur infrastructure charges, and in most cases will be accepted development, which will mean that they will not have an application fee either. In terms of the caps, we also have caps for the new Stream 5 as well, and there are some clauses to prevent double dipping between the two streams. Currently, there are no open rounds under any stream of the existing policy. If the revised policy was approved today, we could reopen all rounds at the start of February in 2025, which would allow one last round to be open for approximately 2.5 months for all streams. The copies of the proposed and current policy have been attached and are taken to be read.
Thank you very much. Over to the councillors for comments or questions. Councillor Burns.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just in future, when you bring policy changes or new policies, just can you include the working document so you're not comparing two policies completely? You can actually see where you've made the changes with highlights, and that's just much easier when we're going through things and deciding on them. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Councillor Burns. I know that you've requested that on a number of occasions, so thank you. I think with the competition policy there was something there with the two, and this time thank you for including the previous policy, but as Councillor Burns said, it's good to see where the track changes, if you like, are made, so thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Burns.
Sorry.
Councillor Wilkins.
I forgot my question for a second. Although people have, or businesses, whatever, have 2.5 months, they can, once they receive that, the go-ahead, then they've got 2 years, is that right, to enact that?
Through the chair, depending on the type of land use it is, we have under the policy now between 2 and 3 years. So, for instance, if we were to receive a large application under this incentive for aged care facility, because that's quite a significant development, they would have up to 3 years to claim the incentive.
Councillor Cruz.
Through the chair. Thank you for this and putting the cap on. I think it makes it a lot fairer and equitable process. I'm still just looking and probably looking for a bit of guidance. So if there are multiple applications that are in the mix or coming to council, and there are limited funds, so obviously if there, that we have a fund, how are they going to be, I guess, assessed? Are we assessing them on a first in, first dressed basis, as in the date in which they've made their application to council, and obviously, fitted the bill, or, like, for example, if there are 3 to be presented at council at the one time, is that the intent, that it would be a first in, first served basis, so that if you're the third company or business, those funds you may not get the full incentive because the funds aren't there? Is that the intent of it to work, or is it going to be at the discretion of council?
Through the chair, we would continue to operate on a first come, first served basis, so I dare say that there would be some on different days. Even if they were to submit on the same day, there would be a person who got in sooner in terms of the lodgement. A lot of councils do have on that basis as well, because on the premise that it generates a bit more interest for people to get in and get their application in as quickly as possible.
Yep. So through the chair, so then I guess we'll and all that information has previously been provided, but we'll have those dates, because I'm thinking if the circumstance does come, we want all that date. So nothing in that what we've just spoken about, a first in, first served, that it doesn't need to be reflected in this policy. No, it's just taken as a given, or just.
Through you, Madam Mayor, there would be dates. But no, it would be first in, first dress, best dress. It doesn't need to be reflected in the policy per se. It would be an administrative management function that we would run.
Okay, no worries. Just wanted to clarify so that, yeah, it's an easier, smoother process when it gets to here. But really appreciate the work. And I mean, yeah, there were a couple of scenarios being sort of discussed, and really appreciate the work that you put into actually bringing that and then showing that this was the fairest and most equitable way. So really appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank you, Councillor Cruz. Great question. Just to be able to clarify that, that when the amount of money is there, we use up to that amount of money, and potentially there may be some applications that miss out, and potentially some applications that are only partially funded because there's a limit on the funds as well. But thank you for that. It was a great question for that clarification. I have got another question, but I'll go to Councillor Newman.
I'd also like to congratulate you on the addition of Stream 5. I think that is a great addition to this package and recognises the need of the housing shortage within the region. So thank you for that addition.
Thank you, Councillor Newman. Councillor Whiteman.
Through the chair, I would more of a comment around policy in general. The only downside for this is that I see is that there's a possibility when we enact policy like this that we can have unintended consequences, such as businesses being very strategic about when they put development applications in at the start of the financial year instead of at the end, and so you end up in funny situations where development might even be delayed for the purposes of making sure that there's more in the pool. And I don't think this is probably an issue with this policy per se. However, it's something that I'd just like everyone to be aware of, and you know, the unintended consequences of policy.
Definitely, and I think we might have actually discussed that option of even having rounds to like cater for those kind of instances with working in with businesses. And I think that where we got to was, thank you for your wise words, where we got to was, let's trial this. And again, there's always those opportunities as we move forward to review and improve to make sure that we're working in with our applicants and business community. So thank you very much. And thank you to Councillor Cruz, Councillor Newman. I think we're all very appreciative of all the staff, particularly yourself, Helen, and all the crew there for actually working with us through this policy. So thank you very much. If there's no more questions or comments, we'll move to the resolution. Just make sure I've got the right page here. So the resolution on page 151 is that the Central Highlands Regional Council, 1, adopts the amended Economic Stimulus Policy number CHRC 0013, which will supersede the current Economic Stimulus Policy original version, effective from midnight 27th of November 2024, and 2, allows applications to be made under all streams, including the new Stream 5 development application fees and infrastructure charges for long-term residential accommodation, with a new round to commence on the 3rd of February 2025, utilising the remaining available funds from within the financial year 2024-25 allocated budget. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Cruz, and seconder, Councillor Hindmarsh. All in favour? Motion carried. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you very much, councillors and Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. We're moving on now to item number 12.3, commercial and corporate services. So the agenda item is 12.3.1, unconfirmed minutes, audit and risk committee meeting 25th of October 2024, and handing over to our acting manager, Commercial and Corporate Services, Rebecca Brosnan. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the Chair, good morning, councillors. The purpose of this report is to present the unconfirmed minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting that was held on the 25th of October 2024. I'll now hand over to Millicent Bradley-Woods, the Manager of Governance, to speak to this report.
Thank you, General Manager. And through the Chair, pursuant to Section 211, subsection 1, subsection C, and Section 211, subsection 4 of the Local Government Regulation, as soon as practicable after the meeting of the committee, the Audit and Risk Committee must give Council a written report about the matters reviewed at the committee and the committee's recommendations about those matters. The Audit and Risk Committee met on the 25th of October 2025 to review the Auditor General's audit report and the Auditor General's observation report about the local government's financial statements for the preceding financial year, so the 23-24 financial year, and that's required under Section 211, subsection 1, subsection B, Roman numeral 4 of the Local Government Regulation. In summary, at the Audit and Risk Committee meeting, the committee also received the annual report and received and endorsed the Audit and Risk Committee work plan, which forecasts agenda items out to 2026. In closing, the recommendation is for Council to receive the unconfirmed minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on the 25th of October 2024 and to endorse the recommendations contained within the minutes. And the Manager of Finance is here if there are any specific questions with respect to the audited consolidated financial statements.
Thank you very much. Councillors, any questions or comments? Councillor Cruz or Councillor Wilkins, as members of the Audit and Risk Committee, if you, sorry to put you, not wanting to put you on the spot there, sorry, but thank you. Thank you. So, if we don't have any questions or comments, I'll put the recommendation is that the Central Highlands Regional Council receives the unconfirmed minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on the 25th of October 2024 and endorses the recommendations contained within the minutes. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Burns, seconder Councillor Newman, all in favour? Motion carried. Thank you very much. So moving on to agenda item 12.3.2, Central Highlands Regional Council Annual Report 2023-24. And again, handing over to our Acting Chief Executive Officer, Ross Musgrove.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The annual report, of course, summarises the activities of the organisation for the last financial year up until the 30th of June. Of course, I was not the Acting Chief Executive Officer during that period, but it is my duty to sign the accounts and sign the and prepare the annual report on behalf of council to reflect that period. And I'm confident that the annual report accurately reflects the activities of council and the sound financial management of council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Acting CEO. Appreciate that. So over to our councillors for any comments or questions. Everyone looks like they're busily flicking through.
Through the Mayor, whilst councillors are having a look at the document, I'd like to record my thanks to the staff, which is many across council who are involved in the collation of the material for this document, and of course for our comms team for actually doing the final document and the preparation, and of course the finance team for their work on the accounts. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Acting CEO. I'd like to also reiterate those comments and thank everybody for putting the report together. Always a mammoth job, and I know that a lot of time and effort goes into everybody getting that information through, it going through all the edits and checks, and then having the comms and team putting it all together. So absolutely want to say thank you very much to everybody. And I also want to recognise that this is the 2023-24 annual report. So this new council were in for 5 months of that 12 months. And the former mayor and councillors overseeing these I suppose, activities of council for 7 months. So I want to recognise the previous mayor and councillors too for their contribution into making sure that this report is positive and reflects all the hard work that everyone's done. So Councillor Wilkins.
Sorry, I was just flicking through where I'd highlighted and trying to remember my questions. So just
right.
on page 40 of the report, or 205 of the agenda, it's got there the total workforce. You've got internal and external. Just to clarify, that means those are kind of work indoors and versus those outdoors, just so that people know that it's not FIFOs or whatever.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah.
Councillor.
Yep. Also, just on the gender balance one for 2019-2020, that seems to add up to 99%.
That'd just be a rounding.
Rounding? Yep.
A rounding issue, yeah.
Okay, just because all the others add up 100%, just like 1% unknown. I think that's all my questions. Sorry.
Good, thank you very much. We have no other questions or comments, so put the recommendation is that pursuant to section 1822 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Queensland, Central Highlands Regional Council adopts the Central Highlands Regional Council annual report for 2023-24 financial year as presented. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Newman, seconded Councillor Whiteman. All in favour? Motion carried. Thank you. Good, thank you very much. Moving on to item 12.4, infrastructure and utilities. The agenda item is 12.4.1, project nominations for the 2025-26 State Emergency Service Support Grant, and handing over now to General Manager, Infrastructure and Utilities, Jason Houlihan. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good morning, councillors. The State Emergency Services Support Grant is a Queensland Government grant administered by the State Emergency Services of Queensland. The funding offers financial support for local governments to dedicate resources to SES groups to enable effective response to disasters and emergency situations within our communities. The local government grant for the 25-26 state SES grant means that local governments can apply for grants up to $150,000 for facilities and $75,000 for vehicles. This is a significant increase from previous rounds where maximums for vehicles have been $26,000. So a great outcome with this grant opportunity. The recommendation from council, from officers, is that we apply for 2 projects, one being a replacement vehicle for the SES Springshaw in Springshaw, and a SES generator to go on the Dringa facility of the SES building there. So those totals are in the report, being $75,000 for the vehicle and $44,000 for the generator at Dringa. I'm happy to take any questions, councillors.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Councillor Sofer.
Thank you. The Springshaw SES vehicle, how many kilometres does that vehicle have on it?
Thank you, councillor. So the Springshaw SES vehicle currently is a 2018 Colorado, so a 6-year-old Colorado. It has just less than 10,000 kilometres on it at the moment.
So we're replacing a vehicle for SES. I know this is a grant, but at the end of the day, my taxes that I pay to the government actually fund this sort of grants. So we're replacing a SES vehicle that has less than 10,000 kilometres on the clock. Thank you. Dringa, do they currently have a generator?
Through the chair, my understanding is that they don't have a generator that's permanently installed and has the facility to automatically kick in when there is a power outage during a disaster.
How frequently is there a power outage in the last 12 months or so? 2 years?
Through the chair, I don't have those figures. I am familiar with a couple recently within the Central Highlands region, but it's not a documented thing that council keeps in terms of power outages.
Going back to the SES vehicle, could you please explain as to why we would be applying for this grant and what is happening to that current vehicle that has less than 10,000 kilometres on it? Is SES selling that, or what is happening to that vehicle?
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair. So, councillor, under the MOU that we have with the State Emergency Services, the vehicles become a council asset. So once the vehicle is purchased, it is a council asset. So that vehicle, while still in very good condition, with less than 10,000 kilometres, is starting to age. But from an SES point of view, the reliability of the SES vehicles, like council vehicles, is important. So the replacement vehicle will be put into the SES if we're successful with this grant. The current vehicle will remain a council asset that will be able to be used by council in any way it sees fit.
Very clever, really, isn't it?
Thank you. Councillor Whiteman.
Through the chair, in relation to the SES vehicle, that will, as you say, it's going to come back into the council portfolio, into the council fleet. Is it an old vehicle to be fitted into the council fleet? Is it older than our current fleet?
Through the chair, it's probably consistent with some of our older vehicles, so 2018, but the fact that it's got 10,000 kilometres on it, it is in reasonable condition that could be used in our normal council fleet.
So it's consistent with the age of the current council fleet, but a lot less kilometres, so it could be cycled into a vehicle that's doing more kilometres within the fleet and utilised within fleet without any issues.
That's correct, councillor.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Cruz.
Through the chair, so the SES was transitioned to the Queensland Police Service in June 2024. So just for reference, on the 2nd of May, the then Minister Ryan made the announcement. So with that announcement came the $60 million for the SES annual baseline budget for more staff, more resources, including crucial safety equipment, vehicles and vessels. Then I'd probably also go back to the LJQ conference motion 56 in 2019, which state that the Local Government Association of Queensland lobby the Queensland Government to wholly fund the State Emergency Service from existing funds received from the Emergency Services Levy and appropriate budget allocation and governance arrangements, etc. So this has actually been going on for a long time, in that there's a lot of cost shifting that happens from state governments to local councils. So the more we enable cost shifting, the more it will happen. I see this as an opportunity to reverse that fact. So I support this.
Thank you. And, Councillor Donaldson?
Yeah, sorry. I'd just like to make a comment on the generator. For a generator that may be used 2 or 3 times a year, $44,000, that's a lot of money. It must be. I was just wondering, how big is this generator? How many kVA do you?
Through you, Madam Mayor, it's a 20 kilowatt generator, so it's a reasonable size.
Okay.
Kilowatt. It's similar to other generators that we have around the municipality.
Okay. It just seems a bit of a overkill to me. But it is what it is, I suppose. I'd just like to make that comment, that's all.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. And I think, there are different types of funding that's available, and this funding is available for councils to support. So, but also, I think that recently the power was out at Geringa in those recent storms for quite some time, and I think that it's good probably to have a reliable, powerful generator there as well. But Councillor Wilkins.
Oh God, I keep forgetting my questions. Having a brain fog day today. The generator, so what is it power? Is it the township or what is it power?
So through the chair, it is the SES facility, so the SES shed. So during a time of a disaster, when it is critical that the SES are activated and operational, they base themselves at the SES shed. There's SES sheds across the region that they operate out of. So maintaining power to that facility so that communication and the vehicles and everything can be operational from that base point in the event of a disaster or a situation where there is no power in town simultaneously.
So does it need to be that powerful then if it's just doing that sort of shed?
Yes, so through the chair, the recommendation is based on an electrical audit that's been done of the facility and appropriately sized. As mentioned, in terms of the purchase of a generator, you can purchase a generator for much less than $44,000, but to have it installed, professionally installed, it would need to be on a suitable pad and the electrician, suitably qualified electrician to wire it in so that it automatically switches over and turns itself on and off when it's required.
Good, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Cruz.
Yeah, through the chair, I probably just wanted to make another comment. I guess probably, I'll only speak for myself, but fully supportive of the crucial function that SES provide throughout our region. But I see this application as reflecting the cost that should be borne by those whose remit it is to have. So,
thank you. And Councillor Newman.
I'd just like to endorse my support for this. I think the Springsure vehicle, given its age, there's improvements in the vehicles these days, and it would be fit for purpose and an ideal opportunity. The generators I see as essential for across the region. My only question is why aren't we going for more for different centres? but I'm in full support of it, and I think the SES is optimised in our region in multiple areas in times of emergency. So I'm in support of this application.
Thank you, Councillor Newman. Thank you. Councillor Donaldson.
Just to clarify, I am in support of this. But there's installation of a generator. As we know, nothing's cheap these days. So yeah, that'd probably add up. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments? Very good. I'll put the recommendation there is that the Central Highlands Regional Council endorses the following projects to be progressed to application for funding through the 2025-26 State Emergency Service, SES, support grant. So the grants as listed above for the Springshaw SES vehicle and the Dringa SES facility generator, and the total funding application for $122,340. Is that total value, total application? Furthermore, if the applications are successful, that Central Highlands Regional Council will commit to the inclusion of required funds in the financial years in which the project will be delivered, inclusive of any project cost deemed ineligible by the funding body. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Donaldson, seconder Councillor Hindmarsh. All in favour? Oops. Against? Councillor Cypher? Thank you. All in favour? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Just moving on now. Thank you. To 12.5, so people, safety and legal, nil reports. Item 12.6, Chief Executive Officer, nil reports. Item number 13, decision action reports, closed session, there's nil. Moving on to item 14, information reports, and the item is number 14.1, so the Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, through the chair. Councillors,
Sorry, I'll just introduce the item if that's all right. Sorry, I didn't get to do that. Sorry. So the item is 14.1.1, 2023-24 Audited Financial Statement, Central Highlands Development Corporation. Thank you. Over to you, Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Councillors, in accordance with Section 213B of the Local Government Regulations 2012, this report presents the 23-24 audited financial statements for the Central Highlands Development Corporations as a controlled entity of the Central Highlands Regional Council. So, councillors, given CHDC is a controlled entity, the financial statements form part of Central Highlands financial statements, which was adopted by Council in a previous report. I'll take this report as read, councillors, but happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Over to councillors if you have any questions or comments. Good. No questions or comments? Sorry, welcome Peter, General Manager for CEO, sorry, for Central Highlands Development Corporation, Mr. Peter Dowling. Welcome, thank you. So if we don't have any... Oh, Councillor Cypher, sorry.
I'd just like to invite Peter, if he's got some comments to make about the financials, any particular highlights you might like to emphasise?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. For those who aren't aware, the Queensland Audit Office uses a service provider when they do their auditing of organisations like ourselves. Previous years we've had a group called BDO, and this time round we had Bentley's as a new provider. I can say in partnership with the board that the process went very well in terms of the interaction and the share of documentation that's required to complete an audit. The findings or the improvement areas were two process areas, one around some master files and ensuring that the change of information on those master files, which are around people's personal details, are updated regularly, and we've already addressed that. And the other one was because we have a lot of projects that carry over financial years, the accrual accounting aspect of that, there was an education piece that we did internally with the team, and we'll continue to do that as well because the type of organisation that we are, we do receive external funding, and the internal funding also carries over financial years from time to time. So they were the two key findings that came out, or two improvements that we've already rectified and are working forward on. Really pleased with the process, and we did, as a matter of course, we have briefings with our board directors to go through those audited statements with the provider and give our board every opportunity to understand what's occurred in that financial year, and that statement is, you know, able to be endorsed at the CHDC board level before it comes across to council.
Good. Thank you very much. Councillor Cruz.
Yeah, through the chair, probably a question for Peter or a comment. So just with regards, you know, the contractor component, like with the projects that you undertake, and generally you're sort of finding that you have to have those cash components at bank to be able to cover those before the grant funding comes in. Is that an accurate reflection?
Yeah, that's always the case, Councillor, is that the requirement of cash flows is important for our business. So we've probably got about 4 contracts on the go at the moment with different initiatives. So, for instance, the Frontier CQ Innovation Roadmap, the Geo Trails signage, those are examples of projects where you get funding and you have funding milestones, where you get payments from the agency funding you. But in the interim, your contractor may have, like, say they might be 3 milestones over a 12-month period for a particular initiative. However, your contractor might be on a monthly arrangement to deliver those services. So you've just got to make sure that you've got the cash flow available to step through that process. You're never guaranteed of the funding, you know, the milestone at the end, where you've got to have your evaluation and reporting back to the agency, and then they sign off it. So you've got to be mindful of that. There is risk there. So that's the importance of having what we call the sort of unrestricted funds at bank, so that we can accommodate that cash flow capacity that's required.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. I did note on page 336 of our agenda those references, as you quite rightly pointed out, to the employee master file changes, and also those references to their accrual accounting. So noting that there have been flagged and being addressed, and I did note the increase of cash at bank from 2023 to 2024. I do understand the need for ongoing fixed costs and leave provisions as well. But just noting that there is an increase there. And just my question, Peter, if that's all right, on page 305 of the agenda, there's a reference there to the statement of comprehensive income, and noting that the total income of $2.73 million, of which approximately 78% come from the current grant from council. So just if you could explain where the other, I suppose, 22% where you get your external funding from?
Yeah, for sure, councillor. As indicated before, it really comes through project funds. So, for instance, the Geo Trails project, those funds will come to council, but then they'll come to us on a purchase order arrangement. So that's, or projects like that with the Innovation Roadmap or the Q-Rider funding, they're all projects that have an income capacity into the organisation before they go out. So often that's a timing issue as to whether that $364,000 net profit is actually net profit, because it's a timing issue of when those funds are coming in and going out of the organisation.
Thank you. It has been referenced in previous statements as well over the years, but thank you. Councillor Seifer.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank Peter and the CHDC team for the great efforts they put into this, to this organisation, and also that to let everyone know that we have recruited a full team of directors now, based around skill sets. So we're very diligently overseeing the organisation, and I must say it's a great pleasure to be chair of that board. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Councillor Seifer. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All good. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll put the recommendation. I've just shifted pages. The recommendation there is that Central Highlands Regional Council receives the audited financial statements of the Central Highlands Development Corporation for the year ended 30th of June 2024. So can I have a mover? Councillor Seifer, seconder. Councillor Newman. All in favour? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Peter. You're going to stay for morning tea? You may as well. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. We're just going to break for morning tea. And just before we break for morning tea, just to let everybody know that who's online and who may view this video going forward. We do have a delegation here from the University of Queensland. Once we break, I just wanted to welcome everybody and thank you for joining us for morning tea. So we'll break now and we'll be back in 45 minutes. So we'll come back at 11:15. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. We've just had a delightful morning tea with our visitors from the University of Queensland and the course participants from different countries, 20 different countries in Africa, over here to do some study in the mining, about mining sector. So thank you all very much. So returning back to our agenda, we're up to our information reports. So back to the Department of Communities, item 14.2. So the agenda item is 14.2.1, Central Highlands residential, industrial and commercial land supply and demand assessment, and handing over to General Manager Communities, Adrian Burns. Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you, Mayor. As this is an information report, this is a report that has previously been discussed at Council Strategic Briefing Forum, and we're presenting it for information today. However, Helen is here to just take us through some very brief salient points.
Through the Mayor. This report presents the land study, which was drafted by PSA Consulting using an evidence-based approach to undertake the land suitability assessment, and includes the application and analysis of constraints to identify the vacant lands with a higher level of development potential priority. So basically what that means is that there was an audit of vacant land supply for residential, industrial and commercial land. We then had a look at that total number of vacant land and then applied some constraints. So for instance, if it was under very high flood risk, was it close to services within the priority infrastructure area and the like. That then took off an amount of that land, and we ended up with the refined land audit supply amount. And the last step was then to project going forward into 2040, how much land would we need of each of those different types. The punchline of the report is basically that we found that across the region for all three different land use types, so residential, centre and industrial lands, the refined land supply can comfortably accommodate future land demand for Central Highlands up to 2040. We have received at different times anecdotal reports that there is a lack of supply. From this report, the general feeling is that it may be that while there is sufficient land zoned for the different uses, that land in some cases may not be seen as attractive to potential developers because it may not be at the right size for those because it hasn't been subdivided yet, or there may be infrastructure that needs to be delivered before they can take up that land and build on it. This report also does not consider land banking of vacant land and its potential impact on availability. This additional work was outside the scope of the engagement and budget to undertake the project. The land study will be used in the future to inform and guide decisions relating to development applications, strategic planning decisions relating to rezoning, the local government infrastructure plan and future amendments thereof, and potentially the master planning of existing and future subdivisions for residential, commercial, and industrial purposes.
Councillors, should you have any questions, we're more than happy to take them and answer them now.
Councillor Cypher.
Thank you. Just a bit of clarity around a couple of things. This didn't take into the Yamla Enterprise area, is that correct, this report? The industrial area at Yamla?
Through the Chair, the report did include the Yamla investigation area in the initial land audit, but the investigation area was not included in the refined land supply because there are some constraints around that land associated with water availability.
Thank you. Also, it would be fair to say, well, would it be fair to say, would it be fair to say that in the Emerald area, some of the identified industrial land would be under a flood overlay?
Through the chair, one of the constraints that were applied was high and very high flood risk. So the land that was initially identified in the land audit, land that was under high or very high was taken out for the refined land audit. So yes, there is industrial land in Emerald that would be affected, but that was taken out of to reach the total for the refined land audit.
So it isn't. So the high flood risk industrial area isn't identified as part of the industrial land that we have a good supply of?
No.
Okay. And just for the viewers, Yamla Enterprise area, it is only not included because of the need for unpotable or non-potable water down there, which is a solvable. There can always be a solution. That can be overcome, is what I'm saying.
Through the chair, that is correct. The refined audit supply doesn't mean that the things that haven't been included aren't developable. It's just saying that the land that's identified in the refined land audit, it's kind of the low-hanging fruit in terms for developers and seemed to be more attractive. For instance, one of the constraints was that if it was industrial land, it should be within 250 metres of a state-controlled road so that they have easy access for big trucks. That doesn't mean that if they're past that point, that land is completely undevelopable.
Excellent, and that was a great answer, because I'm sure some of the public who may read this report may ask the same questions as what I did, and you've answered that beautifully. So thank you.
Very good. Councillor Whiteman.
Through the chair, one of the comments I'd like to make about the report is the very strange way that the 13 communities have been split up. We have some bizarre parts of this map where the Arcadia Valley goes almost all the way up to Comet, and Rolleston Township is included on a peninsula of the area of Rolleston, the same with Springshaw. You go a couple of kilometres out of Rolleston in any given direction and you're into the Arcadia Valley, but it runs all the way back up north of Springshaw, again, nearly back to Comet. Can you explain why the 13 communities have been cut up in this manner?
Through the chair. To inform this report, we relied on census data. Now, with all the census data, it has its own divisions. They call them statistical areas or statistical boundaries that go along with that. The issue is that if we want to use that data and apply it to an area, we have to go with the boundaries that they've chosen. We don't have it down to a fine enough grain that we can draw the lines around our communities that you or I would pick if it was up to us. We don't have census data other than what is done through the ABS. So what we have done, and which has quite rightly resulted in some strange looking shapes that may not necessarily align with your idea of how the community should be drawn, is our best attempt to use the shapes that we have to jigsaw them closest to the communities we have. And that is the population data and the is what goes down to that lower level. The employment data is only at the more regional, higher level boundaries. So that's pretty much why they are those shape. It's the best we could do with the data that we had available.
Yeah, and to be clear, I do understand that, and we have, I mentioned it in this public meeting, knowing that we have spoken about this in private, because it was the first thing that I noticed about it when you originally brought this to us. But it still, it doesn't make much sense to people on the ground when they're talking about the land around Springshaw, but it doesn't include any of the land west of the first hill, east of the first hill out of Springshore. So, yeah, anyway.
Thank you, Councillor Whiteman. We've had this challenge for many, many years, even previously when creating the 13 community areas, doing the first community plan. Those areas, again, were to be able to have some data on population, etc. We used the census area, ABS census areas, but then we moved on to having the areas for particularly the community reference group localities where they drew up their own boundaries. It would be great, absolutely, going forward. I think we've lobbied and lobbied over the time, or I have, where we could actually have our own boundaries where we can capture the statistics that we need. But I guess that's in the future somewhere. But thank you very much. A very important point to make. Thank you. Councillor Cruz.
Through the chair, you mentioned there were some constraints around some developments just with regard access to infrastructure. Was that's not specifically around residential, or is it just as a whole, or?
There were different infrastructure accessibility constraints applied depending on whether it was residential or industrial and commercial. So, for instance, if you're in an industrial block, being able to get big oversized truck on your site and around the corners is obviously quite important. But in any case, whether you're residential, commercial, or industrial, you still need a road, you still need water, you still need sewer. So those three main things were all considered.
And just through the chair, so we would have the background data to this as those blocks that are currently have the infrastructure versus the blocks that currently don't. And the reason I'm asking for this question is, like, when we're sort of looking at advocacy pieces to whether it be state or federal governments with the things that limit housing supply, and there could be programs that support that growth through infrastructure or and the like. But if we aren't experiencing the people building the houses, but we've got blocks here that may be serviced, I'm just sort of wondering whether this piece could actually guide us to mould the advocacy to for the program to actually say, well, look, it doesn't, we've got the blocks here with the infrastructure, how else can you assist us to gain that growth? So we could use this as a bit of we'd have the background information to probably support that.
Yep.
And through you, Madam Mayor, just to be clear for those listening, we were nodding all the way through that, but to be clear for those online, yes. This would be a great advocacy document to assist with any future development funding that we may be seeking.
Yep, thank you.
A beautiful segue into, I think, highlighting even for our own planning, particularly with a range of communities across the region, how we can also work with those communities to have the information that we need to do that community development, if you like, or economic development across our whole region and our communities. Beautifully put. So I was nodding away as well. So thank you. Councillor Newman.
Just through the chair, surrounding, if we reference page 354 and 355, around the industrial land investigation, Jeringa has the highest amount of industrial land in the figures that we have been provided with. Could you offer any more explanation about what sort of investigation that is?
From memory, I believe that is investigation area. So one of the reasons that investigation area was largely accepted from the refined sort of vacant land audit, was that to develop that land, they need to develop a master plan, make sure the infrastructure is there as part of that overall investigation. So there is almost a preliminary step from being zoned industry investigation area to do some master planning in that area before then somebody typically would subdivide it and start building on those lots. Whereas if a lot is already zoned as low impact industry or industrial, it's if you are a use that's supported in that area, it's generally supported and not needing to do that additional master planning step.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Cruz.
Through the chair, it was just, sorry, Councillor Newman beat me to the punch. So just, yeah, further to what I was saying is, I guess there's probably a couple of opportunities that are in the very near future that council could probably use this document to influence or at least inform programs for, you know, upcoming
absolutely. Yeah.
elections.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, definitely. And yeah, that just concurring with that, absolutely, but also so important for our own planning too going forward. Councillor Whiteman.
Sorry, just a supplemental. I did notice on this page 155 that the graph there that there is no land zoned for industrial purposes within the communities of Gemfields, Thierry, Arcadia Valley, Comet, Vahinia, Dingo, Bluff and Ralston. Does that specifically mean that industrial land could not be developed in those communities?
Through the chair, in the smaller townships that you've just listed, what we have instead is the township zone. So essentially what that is a mixed bag. It allows residential, commercial and industrial uses all to be used in those zones, because often if you're thinking of those towns, there's only a few lots there to start off with. So by not having it divided so clearly between those different types of zones, it allows that sort of more mixed main street type development to happen.
So the adoption of this plan doesn't specifically limit the development of any industry in those zones. It's just that there aren't areas that are set aside specifically for it.
That is correct.
Yep.
Very good, thank you. I guess one point of clarification that the PDA has been included, whole of Blackwater has been included in the planning.
Through the chair, the Blackwater has been included in it, but just a key thing to note is that it's primarily based on what it is under the current PDA arrangement. There are some proposals to potentially do some changes there through the revocation process. Mm-hmm. So if we needed to, we could potentially do an addendum later on to this report should those changes happen to update it.
Yep. Thank you. Because quite often previously, because it was a PDA, it was just left out of any reports. So I just want to say thank you that has been included. So I appreciate that. And finally, I guess, you know, it's so important for our council to be thinking longer term. So these kind of plans help us plan for the future. As Councillor Cruz was saying, not only our own planning, but that important advocacy to state and federal governments to partner with us to develop and build our communities right across the region. So thank you. Important study, important information to give us that longer term thinking and vision to our planning. With no further questions or comments, I'll put the recommendation that Central Highlands Regional Council receives the Central Highlands Residential, Industrial and Commercial Land Supply and Demand Assessment drafted by PSA Consulting. If I could have a mover. Councillor Wilkins, seconder, Councillor Newman. All in favour? Thank you very much. Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you. Very good. Moving on to item 14.2.2, record of proceedings, Central Highlands Arts and Cultural Advisory Committee planning meeting on the 8th of November 2024. I hand over again to General Manager Communities, Adrian Burns.
Thank you, Mayor. The Central Highlands Art and Cultural Advisory Committee, CHRC, is a council committee established to support council service delivery in the area of arts, culture and heritage. This particular committee met on the 8th of November, and we are presenting the record of proceedings to you today. We are seeking that you receive those record of proceedings, and if it is okay, we will take the report as read. Councillor Wilkins was a passionate member of this group, and Vashti is here again today to answer any questions that councillors may have in regards to this presentation of report.
Very good, thank you. I think Councillor Seifer, you're also a member of this group as well.
Sorry, Councillor Seifer.
Over to Councillor Wilkins. Thank you.
So, I'm pretty excited about this group. So there's a fair few things discussed, and so we've already had a few, I guess majorly was the Arts Around August. That was a fairly big event this year. And so there was a rebranding as well to make it like a really special event and a regular, so it's recognisable, I guess, as an annual event in the Central Highlands. So it's now being called Art Attack, and the rebrand came up with, the name of that came up with former council worker Ashley Gall, so she did very well for that. And so next year, I guess we'll be rebranding to Art Attack, and it'll be pretty exciting. There's been a few other events like the capital projects, like the Springshore Hospital Museum update, and then Queensland Ballet Regional Tour. And I think there were a couple of maybe workshops even involving them, or certainly they went to the schools, and then a B story and community training, and then heritage oral histories. And also we discussed the RADF project update there as well. So I'm pretty excited for this coming year. I think there's going to be a few more things happening, and I guess this is one of the reasons why I sort of became a councillor, to be more involved in the community sort of aspect of this. So I'm pretty excited. So hopefully we can get a few things going, including a few workshops and things like that as well.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much. And as always, it's always great to look through these minutes to see that there's events happening right across the region as well, and lots of opportunities for people to participate in training. And so thank you very much. I do like that Art Attack. Packing punches for arts and culture right across the Central Highlands region. So, yeah, awesome. I couldn't help myself there. If there's any other comments or questions? Very good. So we'll put the motion that the Central Highlands Regional Council receives the record of proceedings of the Central Highlands Arts and Cultural Advisory Committee planning meeting held on the 8th of November 2024. Mover, Councillor Wilkins. Seconder, Councillor Whiteman. All in favour? Thank you. Motion carried. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 14.2.3, councillor update on the 2024 Seniors Month event. Handing back over to General Manager Communities, Adrian Burns.
Thank you very much, Mayor. If I may just apologise to Councillor Cypher, it wasn't a deliberate omission, it was just that she was unable to attend the last meeting, so that's why I flicked to Councillor Wilkins. I do feel very bad about it, I'm terribly sorry.
No.
However, in regards to this particular report, as councillors are aware, we have been doing update reports on what are essentially good news events. Council hosts an annual Senior Month celebration, and this report is just providing information about that Senior Month celebration. I don't do very much in that. I do attend because I am a senior too. But I am going to let Annette Burton, our Community Development Engagement Officer, talk to you about that today because she would like to share some more details. So thank you very much, Annette.
Thank you. Thank you, General Manager Burns. Council was proud to host the Seniors Month activities. Several activities were held to celebrate Seniors Month, with the highlight being the annual Seniors Luncheon. All activities were well attended and provided opportunity for positive interactions between seniors, council staff and the wider community. At the Seniors Luncheon, we had 270 seniors from across the region enjoy the day in Springsure on Wednesday the 16th of October. Seniors enjoyed catching up with their friends from different towns. Entertainment was provided by the Springsure State School band and choir students, and along with local musician Richard Sakira. We had a delicious roast lunch provided on the day for the people attending, and which was served by our councillors, staff, volunteers and Springsure State School hospitality students. Each year the luncheon includes many annual traditions, including our 4 awards, which go to the King, which is the eldest gentleman, the Queen, the eldest lady, the senior with the most grandchildren and the senior with the most great-grandchildren. And that's all who's in attendance on the day. This year the winners were Charlie McPhee from the Gemfields. He took home 3 of the 4 awards. He was our King on the day. He was the eldest gentleman attending, who was 97 years young. He also won the award for most grandchildren and most great-grandchildren. He had 25 grandchildren and 54 great-grandchildren.
Yeah.
Claire Dendel is our Queen this year at our seniors event, being the eldest lady attending, and she is 99 years young. She's from Springsure. There is a beautiful photo in the agenda showing with our King and Queen and our Mayor and councillors. The luncheon was a wonderful celebration, bringing our communities together to promote positive attitudes towards older people and ageing. Each year, the luncheon celebration moves between Springsure, Emerald, Capella and Blackwater, with 2025 scheduled to be in Emerald. Other activities Council organised for the communities to celebrate Seniors Month included our libraries hosting activities across the 9 branches in partnership with local groups. Activities varied throughout the region, ranging from trivia games, arts and crafts, sand art, making candles and dream catchers, oral histories and morning teas. Another of Council's activities that we're doing is that we're liaising with the Springsure and Blackwater Multipurpose Health Service and Avalon Residential Aged Care Facility to identify resources suited to residents' needs, for example, large print accessible bingo.
Thank you. And if I just may, through you, Madam Mayor, Claire Dendel, who attended, was 99. Claire has missed out on being the Queen a couple of times, and there was no way she was missing this year. She actually had some personal appointments in Rockhampton, I believe, and made special efforts to get there for this event, and it was a very special time for her to be there, and all those who saw that would have recognised what that meant to her and the community.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I was going to mention that, Claire made a big effort to come down to spend time with us and then head back. But we were very privileged that she came down and finally got her crown for being 99 years young. So I just want to say congratulations to Council. This is a great event every year for all the great reasons that you pointed out. I think it's always very, very special every year when not only do people within their individual communities come together to share lunch, share stories, but it's just so beautiful when you see them, you know, going across talking to friends from different communities, because they don't get the opportunity quite often. Sometimes it's been many, many years since they've seen each other, so that's always something really, really special, but always a lovely day to put a smile on a few people's faces, and I think a couple of us ended up getting up and doing a bit of jiving there at one point as well. So for those who can, it's always a bit of fun. And also to thank the caterers as well on the day. So, but yeah, huge effort. Thank you to Springshaw community for hosting us. Thank you to the schools students. That's always something really, really special when connecting generations. Everyone just loves it when with the little ones are singing and performing, especially the proud grandparents that are there clicking away, taking photos. So, yeah, no, it's a wonderful day. So thank you, Councillor Donaldson.
I attended that event and I thought it was really great. I thought the True of Shoot went very well because I hosted it. And it was great. I think everyone had a good time. And if I'm allowed back, I'll definitely be back next year because I thought it was, a great event. And I think young and old, we all enjoyed it. And I don't get the opportunity to see the older generation very much. But I thought everyone had a great time, and it's good to see. It's good to see because we're all young here, apparently. The seniors are more senior than us, anyway.
It's all relative.
Yeah, it's all right. But everyone had a great day, and it's good to see some of those older people haven't seen their friends for a long time, because maybe some don't get the opportunity to see their friends because they live in different towns, to catch up. And I thought that was great. And it's a really good atmosphere. And thanks very much for that.
Thank you. Councillor Wilkins.
Yeah, I was going to ask whether you were going to attend as a councillor or a senior. I think it was great that the council provided buses, to the event, and made it a really good event. Looking forward to next year too.
Yeah, thank you. And it was a huge effort for everyone to jump on those buses and travel the kilometres that they did. It's great to see so many people participating. And I know that also we've followed up and extended our appreciation, especially for some people that we had to get the ambulance to as well on the day. So just commend all the team. It was all precautions, but just commend everybody on how well everything was responded to and everyone was supported. Beautiful day. Thank you very much. No more comments or questions? So we'll put the motion that the Central Highlands Regional Council receives a councillor update in relation to the annual Seniors Month celebrations 2024. Mover, Councillor Donaldson. Seconder, Councillor Burns. All in favour? Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you. So moving down now to 14.3, Commercial and Corporate Services. Item number 14.3.1, Councillor Update, Commercial and Corporate Services, November 2024. handing over now to Acting General Manager. Oh, they've got your title correct there, because I don't know if you've seen it before, it was Manager. So it's Acting General Manager, Rebecca Burns. Thank you. Brosnan. I'm getting the Burns and the B's and the... just making sure you're all listening. Thank you. Thank you,
Madam
Rebecca.
Mayor. Through the chair, good afternoon, councillors. It's my pleasure to present to you this afternoon the report that provides an update to councillors in relation to activities undertaken by the Information Communication Technology team. Council's ICT team section provides innovative and reliable systems and technical support to assist council in delivering essential services to the community. I'll hand over to Manager for Information and Communication Technology, Clinton Nicol-Dixon, to summarise the report.
Through the chair, thank you, Acting General Manager Brosnan. Good afternoon, Mayor and Councillors. I think we're right on 12 p.m. I'll take the report as read, but I will just talk to a couple of the updates contained within the report. With regards to the progress update provided for the Council's digital strategy, the CCTV program for the 24-25 financial year has been approved. The assessment process focused on the protection of council assets as well as WHS compliance with the sites like the regional aquatic centres. So contained within the report is a list of those approved that will be delivered this year, which consists of expansion of the Emerald Salyards camera network, the Emerald Animal Management Centre, Ralston and Sapphire Aquatic Centres, and the Emerald Resource Management Facility. Another large focus for the team this year has been cybersecurity. Particular attention has been to the decommissioning of legacy or old services and systems, as well as the improvement of email security, incident response plans, as well as the security compliance of our IT vendors. The 3G shutdown was another large focus for us in the last couple of months, and at the time of the shutdown, the only remaining devices from Council's perspective relate to the vehicle tracking, so the Navman system, to which the fleet team have the Capital Works project in flight at the moment to replace those. Moving down to the progress update provided around the digital plan, I did just want to highlight the progress being made by NBN within the region. So they have been delivering network fibre upgrades, and as of September, customers can request a free upgrade to NBN's fibre to the premise, or FTTP. So residents in Emerald, Blackwater, Capella and Thierry can engage with their internet providers to request that free upgrade. We would recommend the uptake of this service as it does help drive further development within the regions if they see that uptake from their customers. I did just want to acknowledge the staff award, I guess, highly commended within the IT team. So our IT system administrator, Ryan Stroud, received a highly commended award for Quiet Achiever with his exceptional and continued drive to improve our council systems and services. The team were particularly proud of his recognition for the hard work that he puts in behind the scenes. That's largely not seen by those with keeping our systems operational. And lastly, at the end of the report, we did provide some operational statistics. I did want to draw Council's attention to the last of those at the bottom of page 390 of the agenda in relation to attacks that get received on Council's firewall. So Council employs firewalls hosted by Telstra to help mitigate attacks from foreign actors against our corporate network. These attacks can be anything from those just scanning our network through to targeted attacks. In the last 90 days, there has been, the top origin of those attacks has been from the USA with 1.7 million attacks on our firewall, with an average of 85,000 across the countries that do send through attacks. So the graph that is shown at the end of the report, those countries highlighted in green are ones that we've received some kind of origin of attack against our corporate network. I guess these statistics demonstrate the need to stay vigilant and continue to improve our cybersecurity controls, but it also highlights that the progress that we have made is protecting us from a lot of activity in that cyberspace. I'll cut things off there, but happy to take any questions from councillors today.
Thank you. Mr. CEO.
Yeah, councillors, obviously, with my background, I have the experience to be able to compare various IT teams and that I've experienced, and I have to say that the IT team here at Central Highlands is of a very high standard indeed, and I've experienced great service personally, but I've also observed a great standard of professionalism with them generally across the organisation since I've been here. And Clinton, I commend you and your team for the great work that you continue to provide for Central Highlands. I think it's excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those kind words. Not even kind words, but from an informed and experienced point of view. So thank you. We always know our IT crew are fantastic, but thank you for that endorsement as well. So congratulations again. Any comments or questions? Yeah, I think I'd just like to say my jaw just dropped open. I did have a read, but when you pointed it out about the number of cyber attacks that our systems of firewalls are protecting us from, I'm stunned. But my only question was, on the map on page 391 of the agenda, you've got the United States as well as Alaska in dark green. Is that?
Yeah, that's part of the US.
Sorry?
It's a state.
Oh, there you go. I didn't realise that. Well, they're poking out from Canada.
We'll fix it.
We'll fix that. Right. Oh, very good. There we go. I've learnt something extra today. Maybe a few other people did too.
You did study geography.
No, well, I haven't been to Alaska, I've been to Canada and the US. You'd think I would have worked it out by now, wouldn't you? But anyway, all good. So if we... Councillor Whitman.
No, through the chair, I was just going to express surprise at the amount of traffic that our firewall is actually catching. I was shocked at the number of attacks that we're experiencing. The only anomaly that I saw on the map was, what have we done to Bulgaria? They really, Bulgaria sticks out in the middle of Europe there as a hot spot that they really don't like us. But yeah, thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. And also, amiss of us to also not be acknowledging Ryan for all the work he does. A well-deserved award at the staff awards ceremony as well. So now you're an awesome team, and congratulations for all the professional support that you provide our organisation. So much needed. So thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Madam Mayor.
If there's no further comments or questions, we'll put the recommendation that the Central Highlands Regional Council receives the Information Communication Technology Section Councillor Update. A mover? Councillor, I think that was Councillor Newman. And seconder? Councillor Cruz. All in favour? Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you. So moving through to item 14.4, infrastructure and utilities, nil reports. 14.5 people safety and legal, nil reports. 14.6 Chief Executive Officer, nil reports. And 15 information reports closed session, nil. Late agenda items, number 16, nil. 17 notice of motion, nil. General business at all. Nope. We'll move on, so that's a nil, and we'll move on to number 19, community acknowledgements. I've got a couple. I just wanted to say congratulations to Whitehaven Coal for their community open day at Blackwater on Saturday the 23rd of November. So it was a great day for the Blackwater community, and so there was stalls there from community participants. There was suppliers there. It was a wonderful day, and they actually had big 52-seater buses going out to the mine for visits. So it was a lovely opportunity. And Councillor Whiteman also attended. And Councillor Newman, I didn't see you there. Oh. And we weren't trying to avoid each other, I'm sure, but it was a great day. I don't know, Councillor Newman, if you got it to go out on the buses. We went out and had a visit at the mine site and felt like little tiny dwarfs or something against that great big machinery that operated out on the mine. But it was a wonderful opportunity. I felt that all the staff were very proud to be showcasing their workplace, and it was wonderful to see so many families and little children going out to see where mum or dad work as well. So it's a great opportunity. So thank you very much. Councillor Donaldson.
I've just remembered something. Acknowledgement to Josie and Andrew Bate.
Yeah.
They, for their swarm farms, I was talking to him at the Ag 24. He never mentioned anything to me. The day before, he won this award, and I think it's for innovative, and someone else might be able to, I can't quite remember what it was for, but it's an Australian Fire Award, and I wish he did tell me, but he's that sort of person. He just kept it quiet. Rachel's just have a look on the.
It's the first time it's been awarded to the rural sector.
Oh, awesome. Oh, wow.
I think.
Well, a huge congratulations. All of our unsung heroes that don't boast themselves, but thank you very much for...
Entrepreneurial Technology. Yeah, Entrepreneurial Technology Award. So that's great for our little community here in Central Highlands.
Absolutely, and a big, huge congratulations to Josie and Andrew Bates. Well done, making us all very proud. Councillor Whiteman.
That also reminds me, we also, at those, I believe at the same awards, Kurt Main from Ralston, a friend of mine, won Ag Force Producer of the Year.
Congratulations.
Great nod to the Central Highlands and to the agricultural industry there.
Also, well, a huge congratulations to Kurt as well. Oh, wow, that's wonderful. Thank you. Councillor Burns.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to pay my respects at the passing of John Millard. He was a good community-minded man, and his son and daughters are good members of the community as well. So, it was sad news.
Yep, thank you very much. It was very sad news to lose John, a very proactive member of our community, for sure. Thank you very much, Joe. And and finally, really, after all of the storms that ripped through our region just recently as well, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all the council staff who got out there and worked so hard to make sure that our roads were safe, everything was tidied up. So I just want to shout out to SES and everyone that was involved, and particularly the CHRC staff for their great work as well. So thank you. And no more for that item. So we move on to item 20, which is closure of meeting. So thank you, everybody. So we'll close our meeting now at 12:13 p.m. Thank you very much, everyone. All the best for the rest of the week and weekend. Thank you to our viewers.